We are all aware of the difficulties associated with eating in space. There are issues with weightlessness, getting a balanced diet in a sunless tube filled with recycled air, and dying if you walk outside to get groceries. What about meals, though, on Mars? With its own set of challenges, a new NASA research is attempting to determine the best way to feed the humans who might visit the red planet as early as 2030. Reaching Mars can take up to 3 years. However, what would we eat if we had to go to Mars? Here's what we can eat if we have to travel to Mars. 1. How much water and food would we need to survive on Mars for a year? The following are necessary for a typical male who weighs 200 pounds and exercises every day. 2,500 calories, 60 grams of protein and 83 grams of fat with a variety of vitamins and minerals, and 25 grams of fiber. This way, we can be sure that we're covered because a typical female needs less of everything. 2. On the red planet, what can be grown? On March 19, 2016, scientists from the Netherlands Wageningen University and Research Center conducted an experiment to determine whether 10 common earthly crops may be cultivated in conditions similar to those on Mars. These perfect plants would provide astronauts with easy access to the key nutrients their bodies require on a regular basis. As a result, they were able to grow 10 different crops, including chives, rye, tomato, radish, pea, leek, spinach, garden rocket, and quinoa. 3. Anything to drink? Water is a necessity before we can even consider the idea of eating on Mars. Fortunately, we already know how to draw water from the soil and store it. On Mars, water can also be found in ice and hydrated minerals. Therefore, even though the typical Martian is unlikely to have orange juice or cow's milk for breakfast, we can still stay hydrated by drinking water. 4. What kinds of fruits and vegetables would be offered? When we consider what is now being done in space, we'll see that the astronauts have a tiny garden where they may cultivate vegetables like lettuce, tomatoes, and peppers. Naturally, the benefits of those foods, such as their nutritional value and the psychological advantages of being able to raise our own vegetables, are beneficial. But those extremely low-calorie vegetables won't be able to sustain a large population, so we'll need to look at foods like corn, wheat, and soy that are high enough in calories to feed a burgeoning population. 5. Insect protein. What is it? It's not really a part of culture or diet in North America or Europe. However, if we take a wider global perspective, roughly 2 billion people regularly eat insects as part of their diet. It turns out to be a very good source of protein and is also much more environmentally friendly. In contrast to factory farming methods, it doesn't need a lot of land or water. There is, of course, a slight gross factor. However, we can hide them and avoid simply eating whole insects by, for instance, grinding up crickets into flour and putting it in cookies, chips, or other similar foods. 6. How does cellular agriculture work? We take animal cells. We can use any animal, but most people start with chickens, cows, and other well-known species since that's how it works. These cells are extracted, and after that, they are essentially grown in a nutritional solution. This might be carried out in a huge stainless steel tank, giving the impression that beer is being brewed rather than on a typical farm. People are currently focusing their efforts on developing those cells on a scaffold that mimics the texture of various types of meat in an effort to get the ideal texture. But the main point is that it's a lot more ethical means of manufacturing animal protein because it doesn't utilize animal testing or involve the complicated practice of animal raising. 7. What will we be eating for lunch? On Mars, there is no naturally occurring food, whereas there is on Earth. Since Martians won't be able to import their favorite meals, let's assume that Earth won't be able to support life anymore. We will therefore need to grow or prepare all of our own food. On this, scientists are already at work. It appears that the typical Martian lunch may include lettuce-topped cricket burgers, We will most likely have bug farms instead of dairy farms. Already, lettuce is being grown in space. Tomatoes, cress, and mustard greens make up a side salad. In a study, these crops performed even better than they do on Earth soil in simulated Martian soil. Strawberries and radishes for a mid-afternoon snack. These plants, according to scientists, would thrive on Mars as well. 8. Care for some dessert? Although the Martian diet appears to be very healthy so far, this does not mean that dentists will no longer be needed. NASA has issued a challenge for people to devise a method of converting CO2 into glucose. Future space colonies may need sweet treats as well as a number of other essential items as a result. Cocoa beans have not yet been grown in space by scientists. Making sure the food is safe is just as important as encouraging astronauts to eat, if not more. How food is prepared and preserved will determine whether it will be tasty and nutritious when an astronaut opens the container on a spacecraft or on a Martian plane. Hit on the like and subscribe button if you like this video.